All right, we're getting close to finishing off this golf bomb. Let's see what the topic of discussion is now. Thanks for visiting the mcgolfshop again, and this time you look over here and we talked about frequency matching on the last set, and that was the Wilson with the D7 irons. Now we've moved on to some Srixons. All right, we were able to build the Srixon Cleveland equipment here as well. This time we had a special request, and the customer went and got fit and came up with a set of irons that the person liked and sent it to us to see if we could build it. Now all the component parts are easy to obtain. That's not the issue here. And one of the requirements was a swing weight, and the swing weight was already higher than average. Okay, it was higher than average. It was a D6 requirement swing weight. Now that's pretty heavy, right? And from a fitting standpoint, D6, you got to be a fairly aggressive or fairly strong golfer in order to actually see or feel that kind of stuff. And then what really made this thing kind of weird was the golfer was spec'd out a KBS shaft, but it was a Tour 90 shaft. All right, so it's a 90-gram shaft, all right? And the way that the club flexes, it's a high flight type of shaft. And so it's got a good feel, it's nice and soft, and it creates this higher ball flight. So why does somebody need a D6 swing weight? Because in order to go into this, so something's not marrying up in this recommendation. And I talked to the customer about it. And so what are things that impact swing weight? Let's go with that. We'll start with that one. Well, the head weight, right? The starting head weight, right? And we'll just say right around a 5 iron, you need around 256. That was been average. Now, this is at 38 inches long with a 120-gram shaft and your standard grip, which is in that 46 to 48 range, right? And that gets you around D2, D3. Now, if we take out head weight, and on the average, and it changes per head, on the average you take out 2 grams, that's a couple of swing weight points. If you add or subtract 4 grams, that's a swing weight point. And if you get into here and you subtract 9 swing weight points, all right, or 9 grams, that's a swing weight point. So if we started from the standard, 40 and some change, 120, 256, and we started D3. So just from there alone, I would already have to add 6 grams of weight in order just to get to D6. However, this is 90 grams, so that's 30 grams light, so we'll do it quick. That's a little over 3. So now we're back down to D0. This is a mid-sized grip, so that goes into 56-ish. So that's 2, we'll just say 10 grams heavier. So that's 2.5. So now we're down to 5.5 points light. 5.5 points light. That means just to get back to normal, I have to add in 10 grams of weight. Now, if this head comes in light, which it does, now I'm already behind like 12, 14 swing weight points in calculation. There's no way okay, now what can we do to help bring it back? Well, you can add weight in the head. So they get these tip weights, unless there's others out there, but the highest tip weight is around 10 grams. I'm sure there are some funky Middle Asian ones that are out there, but 10 grams is what's readily available here. So if you get to 10 grams, that's 5 swing weight points. So that just brought you back to almost normal. And so that means you got to come up, where are you going to get 3 extra grams from? Or 6 extra grams from? Well, you're not, unless you want to add it to the exterior of the club. Now, I know you're screaming at me right now. Put some hot melt down in there, it'll be fine. Or do the cork and do the tungsten down in there. Hot melt is not going to make it, right? You need a tube this long, right? And I don't know They probably do make it out there for certain applications, just not here. That's in the woods. Now, could you insert it if it had like a cavity or a hollow body? Yeah, maybe. All right. So now you're back to the cork and the tungsten. So now you're going to take however many grams it takes, because now you've already filled up this tip. Now you're into this neck of the woods. I'm not a fan of that for a couple of reasons. One is that now you've jammed this cork all the way down in there, and what if you don't get it all the way down there? Now you got to rattle. If you do get it all the way down there, then there is the potential for it to come loose for the heat and the going. Not a fan. And then you got to, when you put the tungsten in there, some will just pour it down in there and it's a powder, right? And it's a very, very fine powder. I just happen to have some. You can see that. That's what tungsten powder looks like, okay? So it might take a little bit of that. I guess you could always use lead powder, but lead's supposedly less dense, so it's going to take more. Guys are like, well, can you do it in graphite? No, don't do it in graphite. It creates a shear point. I know, guys, there's always going to be that guy out there, well, I did it and I've been fine ever since. And if you're doing it from a business standpoint and you're doing it to where you have this, where the whatever it is that you're making gets above here, then you're creating a shear point, and nobody likes that because it's just a way for the club to break, particularly in graphite. Now, back to the steel. Can you get it down into this neck of the woods? Yeah, you could probably do that. Now you've added, now we get into club head design, right? And everybody should agree that if you're throwing 10 or more, you're impacting the way that club was designed to play. All right, you are moving center of gravities. You're moving the way it's supposed to turn. So now with all this weight sitting in here, just for the sake of feeling it, now it's going to do this and a swing. It's going to want to turn over. So if you're a big fader of the ball, you very well may like it. But if you're a guy that hooks the ball, you're not gonna. So you got to be careful. These are all the things that when you build this golf club, it is a balance, okay? It is a balance, not just a balance on the swing weight machine, all right? It is a balance on the way that the golfer swings, the way that it feels, the way that it performs. It's all a balance, okay? So I'm jumping in from the next day, and the reason being is I was talking about balancing, right? And we talked about the head with a very light shaft and a mid-size grip, and it came out to a D3. We talk about balancing for all those guys that got to have that particular swing weight. Check this guy out. All right, a new level, it's a Mod B, and it's sporting a KBS 115, okay? So it's heavier. It's also an inch longer, and it's now got the Jumbo Max in the junior, right? The Jumbo Max. So it's a very heavy grip. Guess what this came out to be? Yeah, a D3. So this thing is like 100 grams heavier than the other one at the same swing weight. We're just tricking it, okay? It's about the balance of the club. It's about the fit to the golfer for whether or not, types of transitions, types of swings, types of grips, types of hole swings, types of releases, all kinds of things. The skill level of the player. Tons and tons of stuff that go into it, all right? Definitely a different player, definitely taller, but when he goes to grab it, it's still D3. All right, so do you mean to tell me that a guy that needs that light weight, with that light shaft and the lighter swing weight or the heavier swing weight, is going to go and pick this up and go, yeah, I think that's really good? No. They're going to go, golly, that thing is heavy. That's the reason why the balance of the golf club is far more important, or total weight would be the key word here, is more important than hitting a number. And there are some people that will be very, very sensitive to a swing weight change. But again, it's probably after they've already been tweaked and have all the other appropriate stuff in there. So don't try the impossible build, get it put together the right way. And now, let's go back. So, and it's been proven, right? It's been proven that most amateurs, you, me, and everybody, right? Most amateurs can't feel a 3 swing weight point change. 3. Now, there will be some out there, and I've had some guys here that can feel a 1. That is a rarity. That's a guy that's very rare. And that's just what that is. So you have to be very careful in that particular instance. You got to be, when you guys are worried about oh, my swing weight's off by 2 points. Chances are you wouldn't know it if you weren't told. Chances are, if you're that guy, then if you're going to some extreme number, then you need to look at the balance. Does it need to be a 90-gram shaft? Maybe 105 will hook you right up and get you where you need to be. And because the profiles of these guys change the way that you deliver the club to the ball. And that's what we need to look at, right? So just a swing weight thing to tell you about. Now, I did one earlier on how to swing weight clubs. I'll put it up in here. And it was just how to put the tips in and that kind of stuff. But this is more from a fitting, assembly, knowing what you're looking at kind of setup. Do you really need D6? Do you really need D or B0 or whatever? Something extraordinarily light. So if I put a piece of rebar in here and somebody says, well, I need it to be C9. Well, so now you're when you do these swing weight, guys and gals, when you're doing swing weight, all you're doing is you're virtually tricking a scale. So that's the whole idea of making it so that this balances out, right? You want it to balance. You just don't want this thing that walks out and it just all day long it feels like this. All right? That's not what we're looking for. There's my rant for the day. And when you do that, get tested, right? There's hardly a guy out there that's not going to, say, well, I've got 4 pieces of lead, let's just put 4 pieces of lead on there. And it works really well. Well, what are you going to do with it? You're going to put 4 pieces of lead after you assemble it? Or how are you going to build it? And then you got to know all the component parts and how they fit together. That's the important part. All right, guys, so that's the whole idea. Club fitting, custom club making. They got to go hand in hand in order for you to get the best product you possibly can. If you got any questions, put them in the show notes, and let's see your scores. Go low.